Ulysses by James Joyce, Section 9.
A.
This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Hugh McGuire,
Michael Hind,
Amanda Blythe,
Colin Robertson,
Christine Myers,
Andrew Skinner,
Mike Trevino,
Jean-François Rondeau.
Urbane, to comfort them, the Quaker librarian purred. And we have we not, those priceless pages of Wilhelm Meister, a great poet on a great brother poet, a hesitating soul taking arms against a sea of troubles torn by conflicting doubts as one sees in real life. He came a step, a sync pace forward, on a neat's leather creaking, and a step backwards, a sync pace on the solemn floor. A noiseless attendant, setting open the door but slightly, made him a noiseless beck. Directly, said he, creaking to go, albeit lingering, the beautiful, ineffectual dreamer who comes to grief against hard facts, one always feels that Goethe's judgments are so true in the larger analysis. Twice creakingly analysis he corantoed off. Bald, most zealous by the door, he gave his large ear all to the attendant's words, heard them, and was gone. Two left. Monsieur de la Palisse, Stephen sneered, was alive 15 minutes before his death. Have you found those 6 brave medicals? John Eglinton asked with elder's gall. To write Paradise Lost at your dictation? The sorrows of Satan, he calls it. Smile, smile, Cranley, smile. First he tickled her, then he patted her, then he passed the female catheter, for he was a medical, jolly old Maudie. I feel you would need one more for Hamlet. 7 is dear to the mystic mind. The shining 7, W.B. calls them. Glitter-eyed, his rufous skull close to his green-capped desk-lamp sought the face, bearded amid dark greener shadow, and ole, holy-eyed, he laughed low, a Caesar's laugh of Trinity, unanswered. Orchestral Satan weeping many a road, tears such as angels weep, ed elgi avia del cul fato trombetta. He holds my follies hostage. Cranley's 11 true Wicklow women to free their sireland, gap-toothed Kathleen her 4 beautiful green fields, the stranger in her house, and one more to hail him, Ave Rabbi. The Tinahí 12, in the shadow of the glen he cooees for them. My soul, youth, I gave him, night by night, Godspeed, God hunting. Mulligan has my telegram. Folly, persist. Our young Irish bards, John Eglinton censured, have yet to create a figure which the world will set beside Saxon Shakespeare's Hamlet, though I admire him as old Ben did, on this side idolatry. All these questions are purely academic, Russell oracled out of the shadow. I mean whether Hamlet is Shakespeare or James I or Essex, clergymen's discussions in the historicity of Jesus. Art has to reveal to us ideas, formless spiritual essences. The supreme question about a work of art is out of how deep a life does it spring. The painting of Gustave Moreau is a painting of ideas. The deepest poetry of Shelley, the words of Hamlet, bring our mind into contact with the eternal wisdom. Plato's world of ideas. All the rest is the speculation of schoolboys for schoolboys. A.E. has been telling some Yankee interviewer, "Wall, tarnation strike me." The schoolmen were schoolboys first, Stephen said super politely. Aristotle was once Plato's schoolboy, and has remained so, one should hope, John Eglinton sedately said. One can see him, a model schoolboy, with his diploma under his arm. He laughed again at the now smiling bearded face, formless, spiritual. Father, Word, and Holy Breath. All-Father, the Heavenly Man. Hesios Christos, Magician of the Beautiful, the Logos who suffers in us at every moment. This verily is that. I am fire upon the altar. I am the sacrificial butter. Dunlop, Judge, the noblest Roman of them all. A.E., Arvel, the name ineffable. In heaven height, K.H., their master, whose identity is no secret to adepts. Brothers of the great white lodge, always watching to see if they can help. The Christ with the bride sister, moisture of light, born of an ensouled virgin, repentant Sophia, departed to the plate of Buddhi. The life esoteric is not for ordinary person. O.P. must work off bad karma first, Mrs. Cooper Oakley once glimpsed. Our very illustrious sister H.P.B.'s elemental. Oh, fie. Out, unt. Befightful. You naughtn't look, Mrs., so you naughtn't when a lady's showing off her elemental. Mr. Best entered, tall, young, mild, light. He bore in his hand with grace a notebook, new, large, clean, bright. That model schoolboy, Stephen said, would find Hamlet's musings about the afterlife of his princely soul, the improbable, insignificant, and undramatic monologue as shallow as Plato's. John Eglinton, frowning, said, waxing wroth, Upon my word, it makes my blood boil to hear anybody compare Aristotle with Plato. Which of the two, Stephen asked, would have banished me from his commonwealth? Unsheath your dagger definitions. Hoarseness is the whatness of all horse. Streams of tendency and eons they worship. God, noise in the street, very peripatetic. Space, what you damn well have to see. Through spaces smaller than red globules of man's blood, they creepy crawl after Blake's buttocks into eternity, of which this vegetable world is but a shadow. Hold to the now, the here, through which all future plunges to the past. Mr. Best came forward, amiable, towards his colleague. Haines is gone, he said. Is he? I was showing him Jubainville's book. He's quite enthusiastic, don't you know, about Hyde's love songs of Connaught. I couldn't bring him to hear the discussion. He's gone to Gill's to buy it.
Bound thee forth, my booklet, quick, to greet the callous public. Writ, I ween, 'twas not my wish, in lean, unlovely English. The peat smoke's going to his head, John Eglinton opined. We feel in England, pertinent thief, gone. I smoked his baccy, green twinkling stone, an emerald set in the ring of the sea. People do not know how dangerous love songs can be, the auric egg of Russell warned occultly. The movements which work revolutions in the world are born out of the dreams and visions in the peasant's heart of the hillside. For them, the earth is not an exploitable ground, but the living mother. The rarefied egg of the academy and the arena produced the 6-shilling novel, the music hall song. France produces the finest flower of corruption in Mallarmé, but the desirable life is revealed only to the poor of heart, the life of Homer's Phaeacians. From these words, Mr. Best turned an unoffending face to Stephen. Mallarmé, don't you know, he said, has written these wonderful prose poems Stephen McKenna used to read to me in Paris. The one about Hamlet. He says,
Il se promène, lisant, au livre de lui-même.
Don't you know, reading the book of himself. It describes Hamlet given in a French town, don't you know, a provincial town. They advertised it. His free hand graciously wrote tiny signs in the air.
Hamlet ou le distrait, pièce de Shakespeare.
He repeated it to John Eglinton's new-gathered frown.
Pièce de Shakespeare.
Don't you know, it's so French, the French point of view. Hamlet, ooh. The absent-minded beggar, Stephen ended. John Eglinton laughed. Yes, I suppose it would be, he said. Excellent people, no doubt, but distressingly short-sighted in some matters. Sumptuous and stagnant exaggeration of murder. A deathsman of the soul, Robert Greene called him, Stephen said. Not for nothing was he a butcher's son, wielding the sledded poleaxe and spitting in his palm. 9 lives are taken off for his father's 1. Our Father, who art in purgatory. Khaki Hamlets don't hesitate to shoot. The blood-bolted shambles in Act 5 is a forecast of the concentration camps sung by Mr. Swinburne. Cannily, I, his mute orderly, followed battles from afar. Whelps and dams of murderous foes, whom none but he had spared. Between the Saxon smile and Yankee whelp, the devil in the deep sea. We will have it that Shakespeare is a ghost story, John Eglinton said for the Mr. Best's behoof. Like the fat boy in Pickwick, he wants to make our flesh creep. List, list, oh list. My flesh hears him, creeping, hears, if thou didst ever. What is a ghost? Stephen said with tingling energy. One who has faded into impalpability through death, through absence, through change of manners. Elizabethan London lay as far from Stratford as corrupt Paris lies from virgin Dublin. Who is the ghost from limbo patrum returned to the world that has forgotten him? Who is King Hamlet? John Eglinton shifted his spare body, leaning back to judge. Lifted. It is this hour of the day in mid-June, Stephen said, begging with a swift glance their hearing. The flag is up on the playhouse by the bankside. The bear Sackerson growls in the pit near it, Paris Garden. Canvas climbers who sailed with Drake chew their sausages among the groundlings. Local colour. Work in all you know, make them accomplices. Shakespeare has left the Huguenot's house in Silver Street and walks by the Swan Mews along the riverbank, but he does not stay to feed the pen, chivying her game with cygnets toward the rushes. The Swan of Avalon has other thoughts. Composition of place. Ignatius Loyola, make haste to help me. The play begins. A player comes on under the shadow, made up of the cast-off mail of a court buck, a well-set man with a bass voice. It is the ghost, the king, a king and no king, and the player is Shakespeare, who has studied Hamlet all the years of his life, which were not vanity, in order to play the part of the spectre. He speaks the word to Burbage, the young player who stands before him beyond the rack of cerecloth, calling him by name. Hamlet, I am thy father's spirit, but bidding him to list. To a son he speaks, the son of the soul, the prince, young Hamlet, and to the son of his body, Hamnet, Shakespeare, who has died in Stratford, that his namesake may live on forever. Is it possible that the player Shakespeare, a ghost by absence, and in the vesture of buried Denmark, a ghost by death, speaking his own words to his own son's name? Had Hamlet Shakespeare lived, he would have been the Prince Hamlet's twin. Is it possible, I want to know, or probable, that he did not draw or foresee the logical conclusion of those premises? You are the dispossessed son. I am the murdered father. Your mother is the guilty queen. And Shakespeare, born Hathaway? But this prying into the family life of a great man, Russell began impatiently. Art thou there, Truepenny? Interesting only to the Paris clerk. We have the plays. We read the poetry of King Lear. What is it to know how the poet lived? As for living, our servants can do that for us, Villiers de L'Isle has said. Peeping and prying into the green-room gossip of the day, the poet's thinking, the poet's debts. We have King Lear, and it is immortal. Mr. Best's face appealed to, agreed.
How now, sirrah? That pound he lent you when you were hungry? Marry, I wanted it. Take thou this noble. Go to. You spent most of it in Georgina Johnson's bed, clergyman's daughter, Agenbite of Inwit. Do you intend to pay it back? Oh, yes. When? Now? Well, no. When then? I paid my way. Steady on. He's from Bayant Boyne-Water, the northeast corner. You owe it. Wait. 5 months. Molecules all change. I'm other. I now. Other. I got pound. Buzz. Buzz. But I, entelechy, form of forms, am I by memory because under ever-changing forms, I that sinned and prayed and fasted, a child, con me, saved from pandies, I and I, A-E-I-O-U. Do you mean to fly in the face of the tradition of 3 centuries? John Eglinton's carping voice asked. Her ghost, at least, has been laid forever. She died, for literature at least, before she was born. She died, Stephen retorted, 67 years after she was born. She saw him into and out of the world. She took his first embraces. She bore his children, and she laid pennies on his eyes to keep his eyelids closed when he lay on his deathbed. Mother's deathbed, candle, the sheeted mirror. Who brought me into this world lies there, bronze-lidded, under few cheap flowers. Liliata rutilantium. I wept alone. John Eglinton looked in the tangled glowworm of his lamp. The world believes that Shakespeare made a mistake, he said, and got out of it as quickly and as best he could. Bosh, Stephen said rudely. A man of genius makes no mistakes. His errors are volitional and are the portals of discovery. Portals of discovery open to let in the Quaker librarian, soft, creak-footed, bald, eared, and assiduous. A shrew, John Eglinton said shrewdly, is not a useful portal of discovery, one should imagine. What useful discovery did Socrates learn from Xanthippe? Dialectic, Stephen answered, and from his mother how to bring thoughts into the world, what he learnt from his other wife, Myrto, absit nomen, Socratidonians, Epipsychidian, no man, not a woman, will ever know. But neither the midwife's lore nor the caudal lectures saved him from the archons of Sinn Fein and their noggin of hemlock. But Anne Hathaway? Mr. Best's voice said forgetfully. Yes, we seem to be forgetting her, as Shakespeare himself forgot her. His look went from Bruder's beard to Carper's skull, to remind, to chide them not unkindly, then to the bald pink Lollard costard, guiltless though maligned. He had a good groat's worth of wit, Stephen said, and no truant memory. He carried a memory in his wallet as he trudged to Romeville, whistling "The Girl I Left Behind Me." If the earthquake did not time it, we should know where to place poor Watt, sitting in his form, the cry of hounds, the studded bridle, and her blue windows. That memory, Venus and Adonis, lay in the bedchamber of every light of love in London. Is Catherine the shrew ill-favoured? Hortensio calls her young and beautiful. Do you think the writer of Antony and Cleopatra, a passionate pilgrim, had his eyes in the back of his head, that he chose the ugliest doxy in all Warwickshire to lie with all? Good. He left her and gained the world of men. But his boy women are the women of a boy. Their life, thought, speech, are lent them by males. He chose badly? He was chosen, it seems to me. If others have their will, Anne hath a way, by cock she was to blame. She put the comether on him, sweet and 26, the grey-eyed goddess who bends over the boy Adonis, stooping to conquer, as prologue to the swelling act, is a bold-faced Stratford wench who tumbles in a cornfield, a lover younger than herself. And my turn? When? Come. Ryefield, Mr. Best said brightly, gladly, raising his new book, gladly, brightly. He murmured then with blonde delight for all, between the acres of the rye, these pretty country folk would lie.
Paris, the well-pleased pleaser. A tall figure in bearded homespun rose from shadow and unveiled its cooperative watch. I'm afraid I am due at the homestead. Whither away, exploitable ground? Are you coming? John Eglinton's active eyebrows asked. Shall we see you at Moore's tonight? Piper is coming. Piper! Mr. Best piped. Is Piper back? Peter Piper pecked a peck of pickled pepper. I don't know if I can. Thursday? We have our meeting, if I can get away in time. Yogi Bogey Box in Dawson Chambers. Isis unveiled. Their pally book we tried to pawn. Cross-legged, under an umber shoot, he thrones and Aztec logos functioning on astral levels. Their oversoul, Mahamatma, the famous Hermetis, await the light ripe for Chelship, ring round about him. Louis H. Victory, T. Caulfield Irwin, Lotus ladies, tend them, e'th eyes, their pineal glands aglow. Filled with his god, he thrones Bud under plantain, gulfer of souls, engulfer. He souls, she souls, shoals of souls, engulfed with wailing Cree cries, whirling, they bewail. In quintessential triviality, for years in this flesh case a she-soul dwelt. They say we are to have a literary surprise, the Quaker librarian said, friendly and earnest. Mr. Russell, rumor has it, is gathering together a sheaf of our younger poets' verses. We are all looking forward anxiously. Anxiously he glanced in the cone of lamplight where three faces, lighted, shone. See this. Remember. Stephen looked down at a wide, headless caubeen hung on his ash-plan handle over his knee. My casque and sword, touched lightly with 2 index fingers. Aristotle's experiment. 1 or 2. Necessity is that in virtue of which it is impossible that one can be otherwise. Argal, 1 hat, is 1 hat. Listen, young Colum and Starkey, George Roberts is doing the commercial part. Longworth will give it a good puff in the Express. Oh, Billy, I like Colum's Drover. Yes, I think he has that queer thing, genius. Do you think he has genius really? Yeats admired his line, as in wild earth a Grecian vase. Did he? I hope you'll be able to come tonight. Malachi Mulligan is coming too. Moore asked him to bring Haynes. Did you hear Miss Mitchell's joke about Moore and Martin? That Moore is Martin's Wild Oats? Awfully clever, isn't it? They remind one of Don Quixote and Sancho Panza. Our national epic has yet to be written. Dr. Surgeson says, Moore is the man for it. A knight of the rueful countenance here in Dublin. With a saffron kilt? O'Neill Russell? Oh yes, he must speak the grand old tongue. And is Dulcinea? James Stephens is doing some clever sketches. We are becoming important, it seems. Cordelia, Cordoglio, Lear's loneliest daughter. Nookshotten. Now, your best French polish. Thank you very much, Mr. Russell, Stephen said, rising. If you will be so kind as to give the letter to Mr. Norman. Oh, yes, if he considers it important, it will go in. We have so much correspondence. I understand, Stephen said. Thanks. Good iddle you. The pig's paper. Bollock befriending. Singe has promised me an article for Dana too. Are we going to be read? I feel we are. The Gaelic tongue wants something in Irish. I hope you will come around tonight. Bring Starkly. Stephen sat down.
The Quaker librarian came from the leave-takers. Blushing, his mask said, Mr. Daedalus, your views are most illuminating. He creaked to and fro, tiptoeing up nearer heaven by the altitude of a chopine, and covered by the noise of outgoing, said low, Is it your view, then, that she was not faithful to the poet? Alarmed face asks me, why did he come? Courtesy or an inward light? When there is a reconciliation, Stephen said, there must have been first a sundering. Yes. Christ Fox in leather trews, hiding, a runaway in blighted tree forks from hue and cry, knowing no vixen, walking lonely in the chaise. Women he won to him, tender people, a whore of Babylon, ladies of justices, bully tapsters, wives, fox and geese, and in new place a slack, dishonored body that once was comely, once as sweet, as fresh as cinnamon, now her leaves falling, all bare, frighted of the narrow grave and unforgiven. Yes, so you think. The door closed behind the outgoer. Rest suddenly possessed the discreet vaulted cell, rest or warm and brooding air. A vestal's lamp. Here he ponders things that were not. What Caesar would have lived to do had he believed the soothsayer? What might have been? Possibilities of the possible as possible. Things not known. What name Achilles bore when he lived among women. Coffined thoughts around me in mummy cases, embalmed in spice or words. Thoth, god of libraries, a bird god, moony crowned, and I heard the voice of that Egyptian high priest, in painted chambers loaded with tile books. They are still. Once quick in the brains of men. Still but an itch of death is in them to tell me in my ear a maudlin tale, urge me to wreck their will. Certainly, John Engleton mused, of all great men, he is the most enigmatic. We know nothing but that he lived and suffered. Not even so much. Others abide our question. A shadow hangs over all the rest. But Hamlet is so personal, isn't it? Mr. Best pleaded. I mean, a kind of private paper, don't you know, of his private life. I mean, I don't care a button, don't you know, who was killed or who was guilty. He rested an innocent book on the edge of the desk, smiling his defiance. His private papers in the original. Ta and Bal, Aran Tir, Time Ino Shagart. Put Burla on it, Little John. quoth little John Angleton. I was prepared for paradoxes from what Malachi Mulligan told us, but I may as well warn you that if you want to shake my belief that Shakespeare is Hamlet, you have a stern task before you. Bear with me. Stephen withstood the bane of miscreant eyes, glinting stern under wrinkled brows. A basilisk, and quando vedi l'uomo latica, Messer Brunetto, I thank thee for thy word. As we, or Mother Dana, weave and unweave our bodies, Stephen said, from day to day, their molecules shuttled to and fro, so does the artist weave and unweave his image. And as the mole on my right breast is where it was when I was born, through all my body has woven of new stuff, time after time, so though the ghost of the unquiet father, the image of the unliving son looks forth. In the intense instant of imagination, when the mind, Shelley says, is a fading coal, that which I was is that which I am, and that which in possibility I may come to be. So in the future, the sister of the past, I may see myself as I sit here now, but by reflection from that which then I shall be. Drummond of Hawthornden helped you at that style. Yes, Mr. Best said youngly, I feel Hamlet quite young. The bitterness might be from the father, but the passages with Ophelia are surely from the son. Has the wrong sow by the lug? Is he in my father? I am his son. That mole is the last to go, Stephen said, laughing. John Angleton made a nothing-pleasing mow. If that were the birthmark of genius, he said, genius would be a drug in the market. The plays of Shakespeare's later years, which Renan admired so much, breath and other spirit. The spirit of reconciliation, the Quaker librarian breathed. There can be no reconciliation, Stephen said, if there has not been a sundering. Said that. If you want to know what are the events which cast their shadow over the hell of time, of King Lear, Othello, Hamlet, Troilus, and Cressida, look to see when and how the shadow lifts. What softens the heart of a man, shipwrecked in storms dire, tried, like another Ulysses, Pericles, Prince of Tyre. Head, recondicapped, buffeted, pride blighted. A child, a girl placed in his arms, Marina. The leaning of sophists towards the bypass, or apocrypha, is a constant quantity, John Angleton detected. The highroads are dreary, but they lead to the town.
Good bacon gone musty. Shakespeare Bacon's wild oats. Cipher jugglers going the high roads. Seekers on the great quest. What town, good masters? Mummed in names. A, E, Eon, Magee, John Eglinton. East of the sun, west of the moon. Tir na nog. Booted the twain and staved. How many miles to Dublin? 70, sir. Will we be there by candlelight? Mr. Brandes accepts it, Stephen says, as the first play of the closing period. Does he? What does Mr. Sidney Lee, or Mr. Simon Lazarus, as some aver his name is, say of it? Marina, Stephen says, a child of storm. Miranda, a wonder. Perdita, that which was lost. What was lost is given back to him, his daughter's child. My dearest wife, Pericles says, was like this maid. Will any man love the daughter if he has not loved the mother? The art of being a grandfather, Mr. Best can murmur. L'art d'être grand. His own image to a man with that queer thing genius is the standard of all experience, material and moral. Such an appeal will touch him. The images of other males of his blood will repel him. He will see in them grotesque attempts of nature to foretell or repeat himself. The benign forehead of the Quaker librarian enkindled rosily with hope. I hope Mr. Dedalus will work out his theory for the enlightenment of the public. And we ought to mention another Irish commentator, Mr. George Bernard Shaw, nor should we forget Mr. Frank Harris. His articles on Shakespeare in the Saturday Review were surely brilliant. Oddly enough, he too draws for us an unhappy relation with the dark lady of the sonnets. The favoured rival is William Herbert, Earl of Pembroke. I own that if the poet must be rejected, such a rejection would seem more in harmony with, what shall I say, our notions of what ought not to have been. Felicitously he ceased, and held a meek head among them, ox-egg, prize of their fray. He thous and thees her with grave husband-words. Dost love, Miriam? Dost love thy man? That may be too, Stephen says. There is a saying of Goethe's which Mr. McGee likes to quote. Beware of what you wish for in youth, because you will get it in middle life. Why does he send to one who is a buona roba, a bay where all men ride, a maid of honour with a scandalous girlhood, a lordling to woo for him? He was himself a lord of language, and had made himself a cloistral gentleman, and had written Romeo and Juliet. Why? Belief in himself has been untimely killed. He was overborn in a cornfield first, ryefield I should say, and he will never be a victor in his own eyes after nor play victoriously in the game of laugh and lie down. Assumed Don Giovannism will not save him. No later undoing will undo the first undoing. The tusk of the boar has wounded him there where love lies a-bleeding. If the shrew is worsted, yet there remains to her woman's invisible weapon. There is, I feel in the words, some goad of the flesh driving him into a new passion, a darker shadow of the first, darkening even his own understanding of himself. A like fate awaits him, and the two rages commingle in a whirlpool. They list, and in the porches of their ears I pour. The soul has been before stricken mortally, a poison poured in the porch of a sleeping ear. But those who are done to death in sleep cannot know the manner of their quell unless their Creator endow their souls with that knowledge in the life to come. The poisoning and the beast with two backs that urged it King Hamlet's ghosts could not know of were he not endowed with knowledge by his Creator. That is why the speech, his lean, unlovely English, is always turned elsewhere, backward. Ravisher and ravished, what he would but would not, go with him from Lucrece's blue-circled ivory globes to Imogen's breast, bare with its mole sink-spotted. He goes back, weary of the creation he has piled up to hide him from himself, an old dog licking an old sore. But because loss is his gain, he passes on towards eternity in undiminished personality, untaught by the wisdom he has written or by the laws he has revealed. His beaver is up. He is a ghost, a shadow now, the wind by Elsinore's rocks, or what you will, the sea's voice, a voice heard only in the heart of him who is the substance of his shadow, the Son consubstantial with the Father. Amen, responded from the doorway. Hast thou found me, O mine enemy? Entr'acte.
A ribald face, sullen as a dean's, Buck Mulligan came forwards then, blithe and motley, towards the greeting of their smiles. My telegram. You were speaking of the gaseous vertebrate, if I mistake not, he asked of Stephen. Primrose vested, he greeted gaily with his doffed Panama, as with a bauble. They make him welcome. Was du verlagst, wirst du noch deinen. Brood of mockers, Photius, Pseudomalaki, Johann Most. He who himself begot, middler the Holy Ghost, and himself sent himself, Eigenbier, between himself and others, who, put upon by his fiends, stripped and whipped, was nailed like bat to barn door, starved on cross-tree, who let him bury, stood up, harrowed hell, fared into heaven, And there these 1900 years sitteth on the right hand of his own self, but yet shall come in the latter day to doom the quick and dead, when all the quick shall be dead already. He lifts hands. Veils fall. O flowers, bells with bells acquiring. Yes, indeed, the Quaker librarian said. A most instructive discussion, Mr. Mulligan, I'll be bound, has his theory too of the play and of Shakespeare. All sides of life should be represented. He smiled on all sides equally. Buck Mulligan thought, puzzled. Shakespeare, he said. I seem to know the name. A flying sunny smile rayed in his loose features. To be sure, he said, remembering brightly, the chap that writes like Singe. Mr. Best turned to him. Haynes missed you, he said. Did you meet him? He'll see you after at the DBC. He's gone to Gill's to buy Hyde's Love Songs of Connacht. I came through the museum, Buck Mulligan said. Was he there? The bard's fellow countrymen, John Eglinton answered, are rather tired, perhaps, of our brilliancies of theorizing. I hear that an actress played Hamlet for the 408th time last night in Dublin. Vining held that the prince was a woman. Has no one made him out to be an Irishman? Judge Barton, I believe, is searching for some clues. He swears, His Highness not His Lordship, by St. Patrick. The most brilliant of all is that the story of Wilde's, Mr. Best said, lifting his brilliant notebook, that portrait of Mr. W.H., where he proves that the sonnets were written by William Hughes, a man all Hughes. For Willie Hughes, is it not? The Quaker librarian asked. Or Hughie Wills, Mr. William himself, W.H., who am I? I mean, for Willie Hughes, Mr. Best said, amending his gloss easily. Of course it's all paradox, don't you know? Hughes and Hughes and Hughes the colour. But it's so typical the way he works it out. It's the very essence of Wilde, don't you know? The light touch. His glance touched their faces lightly as he smiled, a blonde ephebe. Tame essence of Wilde. You're darn witty. The 3 drams of Usbach whiskey by you drank with Dan Easy Ducats. How much did I spend? Oh, a few shillings. For a plump of pressman. Humour wet and dry. Wit. You would give your 5 wits for youth's proud livery, he pranks in. Lineaments of gratified desire. There may be mo. Take her for me, in pairing time. Jove, a cooler time send them. Yea, to love her. Eve, naked wheat-bellied sin. A snake coils her, fang in's kiss. Do you think it is only a paradox, the Quaker librarian was asking? The mocker is never taken seriously when he is most serious. They talked seriously of Mocker's seriousness. Buck Mulligan's again heavy face eyed Stephen a while. Then, his head wagging, he came near, drew a folded telegram from his pocket. His mobile lips read, smiling with new delight. Telegram, he said. Wonderful inspiration. Telegram. A papal bull. He sat in a corner of the unlit desk, reading aloud joyfully. The sentimentalist is he who would enjoy without incurring the immense debtorship for a thing done. Signed, Daedalus. Where do you launch it from? The Kips? No. College Green. Have you drunk the 4 quid? The aunt is going to call on your unsubstantial father. Telegram, Malachi Mulligan, the ship lower, Abbey Street. Oh, you peerless mummer. Oh, you priestified Kinchite. Joyfully he thrust the message and envelope into a pocket, but keened in querulous brogue. It's what I'm telling you, Mr. Honey. It's queer and sick we were. Haynes and myself. The time himself brought it in. 'Twas murmur we did for a gallus potion would rouse a friar, I'm thinking, and he limp with leching. And we 1 hour and 2 hours and 3 hours in Connery sitting civil, waiting for pints apiece. He wailed. And we to be there, Mavrone, and you to be unbeknownst, sending us your conglomerations the way we have our tongues. Oudyard like the drouthy clerics to be fainting for a pussful. Stephen laughed.
Quickly, warningfully, Buck Mulligan bent down. The tramper Singe is looking for you, he said, to murder you. He heard you pissed on his hall door in Glasgow. He's out in Pampooties to murder you. Me! Stephen exclaimed. That was your contribution to literature. Buck Mulligan gleefully bent back, laughing to the dark, eavesdropping ceiling. Murder you, he laughed. Harsh gargoyle face, and that warred against me over our mess of hash, of lights in Rue Saint-André-des-Arts. In words of words, for words, palabras. Oisin with Patrick. Fonman, he met me in Clamart Woods, brandishing a wine bottle. C'est Vendredi Saint. Mothering Irish. His image wandering, he met. I met a fool i' the forest. Mr. Lister, an attendant, said from the door ajar, in which everyone can find his own. So Mr. Justice Madden, in his diary of Master Silence, has found the hunting terms. Yes? What is it? There's a gentleman here, sir, the attendant said, coming forward and offering a card. From the Freeman. He wants to see the files of the Kilkenny people for last year. Certainly. Is the gentleman... He took the eager card, glanced, not saw, laid down, unglanced, looked, asked, creaked, asked. Is he... Oh, there! Brisk in a Gillard he was off and out. In the daylit corridor he talked with voluble pains of zeal, in duty bound, most fair, most kind, most honest, broad-brim. This gentleman? Freeman's Journal? Kilkenny people? To be sure. Good day, sir. Kilkenny? We have certainly. A patient silhouette waited, listening. All the leading provincial, Northern Whig, Cork Examiner, Enniscorth 3, Guardian, 1903. Will you please? Evans, conduct this gentleman. If you just follow the or please allow me. This way, please, sir. Voluble, dutiful, he led the way to all the provincial papers, a bowing dark figure following his hasty heels. The door closed. The Sheeny! Buck Mulligan cried. He jumped up and snatched the card. What's his name? Ikimos? Bloom, he rattled on. Jehovah, collector of prepuces, is no more. I found him over in the museum, where I went to hail the foam-born Aphrodite. The Greek mouth that has never twisted in prayer. Every day we must do homage to her. Life of life, the lips akindle. Suddenly he turned to Stephen. He knows you. He knows your old fellow. Oh, I fear me, he is Greeker than the Greeks. His pig Galilean eyes were upon her mesial groove. Venus Callipyge. Oh, the thunder of those loins. The god pursuing the maiden hid. We want to hear more, John Eglinton decided, with Mr. Best's approval. We begin to be interested in Mrs. S. Till now, we had thought of her, if at all, as a patient Griselda. A Penelope stay-at-home. Antizathism. Pupil of Gorgas. Stephen said, took the palm of beauty from Kyrios Melanos, brood dam, Agrive Helen, the woodman, mayor of Troy, in whom a score of heroes slept, and handed it to poor Penelope. 20 years he lived in London, and during part of that time he drew a salary equal to that of the Lord Chancellor of Ireland. His life was rich, his art more than the art of feudalism, as Walt Whitman called it, is the art of surfeit. Hot herring pies, green mugs of sack, honey sauces, sugar of roses, marchpane, gooseberried pigeons, Ringo candies. Sir Walter Raleigh, when they arrested him, had 500,000 francs on his back, including a pair of fancy stays. The Gonbin woman, Eliza Tudor, and underlinen enough to vie with her of Sheba. 20 years he dallied there, between conjugal love and its chaste delights of scoratory love and its foul pleasures. You know Manningham's story of the burgher's wife who bade Dick Barbage to her bed after she had seen him in Richard III, and how Shakespeare, overhearing, without more ado about nothing, took the cow by the horns and, when Burbage came knocking at the gate, answered from the capon's blankets. William the Conqueror came before Richard III, and the gay Lakin Mistress Fitton, Mountain Cryo, and his dainty bird's nest. Lady Penelope Rich, a clean, quality woman, is suited for a player, and the punks of the bank side a penny a time. Cour la reine, encore 20 sous. Nous ferons de petites cochonneries. Minette, tu veux? The height of fine society, and Sir William Davenant of Oxford's mother, with her cup of canary, for every cock canary. Buck Mulligan, his pious eyes upturned, prayed, Blessed Mary, Margaret Mary, Anycock, and Harry of 6 wives' daughters, and other lady friends, from neighbour seats as Lon Tennyson, gentleman poet, sings. But all those 20 years, what do you do, poor Penelope in Stratford? was doing behind the diamond panes. Do, thing done. In a rosary of Fetter Lane of Gerard, herbalist he walks, greyed auburn, and azured harebell like her veins. Lids of Juno's eyes, violet. He walks. One life is all. One body. Do, but do. Afar in a reek of lust and squalor, hands are laid on whiteness.
End of section 9A.
Ulysses by James Joyce, Section 9.
B.
This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Hugh McGuire,
Michael Hind,
Amanda Blythe,
Colin Robertson,
Christine Myers.
Andrew Skinner.
Mike Trevino.
Jean-François Rondeau.
Buck Mulligan rapped John Eglinton's desk sharply.
Whom do you suspect? He challenged.
Say that he is spurned lover in the sonnets, once spurned, twice spurned, but the Count Wanton spurned him for a lord, his drear-me love.
Love that dare not speak its name.
As an Englishman, you mean, John, sturdy Eglinton put in. He loved a lord.
Old wall where sudden lizards flash. At Charenton, I watched them.
It seems so, Stephen said. When he wants to do for him and for all other and singular unheard wombs, the Holy Office and ostler does for the stallion. Maybe, like Socrates, he had a midwife to mother as he had a shrew to wife. But she, the giglot wanton, did break a bed vow. Two deeds are rank in a ghost mind, a broken vow, and the dull-brained yokel on whom her favour has declined. Deceased husband's brother, sweet Anne, I take it, was hot in the blood, once a wooer, twice a wooer.
Stephen turned boldly in his chair.
The burden of proof is with you, not with me, he said, frowning.
If you deny that in the 5th scene of Hamlet, he has branded her with infamy, tell me why there is no mention of her during the 34 years between the day she married him and the day she buried him. All those women saw their men down and under. Mary, her good man John, Anne, her poor dear Willem, when he went and died on her, raging that he was the first to go. Joan, her 4 brothers, Judith, her husband and all her sons, Susan, her husband too, while Susan's daughter Elizabeth, to use granddaddy's words, wed her second, having killed her first.
Oh, yes, mention there is. In the years when he was living richly in royal London to pay a debt she had to borrow 40 shillings from her father's shepherd, explain you then. Explain the swan song too, wherein he has commended her to posterity.
He faced their silence.
To whom thus, Eglinton, you mean the will that has been explained, I believe, by jurists, she was entitled to her widow's dower. A common law, his legal knowledge was great, our judges tell us.
Him Satan fleers, mocker.
And therefore he left out her name from the first draft, but he did not leave out the presence of his granddaughter for his daughters, for his sister, for his old cronies in Stratford and in London, and therefore when he was urged, as I believe, to name her, he has left her his second-best bed.
Left there is second best, best stab, second best. Left. Whoa!
Pretty country folk had few chattels then, John Eglinton observed, as they have still, if our peasant plays are true to type. He was a rich country gentleman, Stevens said, with a coat of arms and a landed estate in Stratford and a house in Ireland Yard, a capitalist shareholder, a bill promoter, a tithe farmer. Why did he not leave her his best bed if he wished her to snore away the rest of her nights in peace? It is clear that there are two beds, a best and a second best. Mr. Second Best said finally. Sopratio amensa et a thalamo, bettered Buck Mulligan, and was smiled on. Antiquity mentions famous beds. Second Eglinton puckered, bed smiling. Let me think.
Antiquity mentions that stagger-eyed school urchin and bald heathen sage, Stephen said, who was dying, in exile frees and endows slaves, pays tribute to his elders, wills to be laid in earth near the bones of his dead wife, and bids his friends be kind to an old mistress. Don't forget Nell Gwyn Herpilis, and let her live in his villa. Do you mean he died so? Mr. Best asked with slight concern. I mean...
He died dead drunk, Buck Mulligan capped. A quart of ale is a dish of a king. Oh, I must tell you what Dowden said.
What? Asked Best Glinton.
Williams, Shakespeare and Company Limited, the People's William, for terms apply, E. Dowden, Highfield House.
Lovely, Buck Mulligan suspired amorously. I asked him what he thought of the charge of pedestry brought against the bard. He lifted his hands and said, all we can say is that life ran very high in those days. Lovely.
Catamite.
The sense of beauty leads us astray, says beautiful sadness best to ugling Eglinton.
Steadfast John replied severe, the doctor can tell us what those words mean. You cannot eat your cake and have it.
Sayest thou so? Will thy rest from us? From me, the palm of beauty?
And the sense of property, Stephen said. He drew Shylock out of his own long pocket, the son of a malt jobber and money-lender. He was himself a corn jobber and money-lender, with 10 tods of corn hoarded in the famine riots. His borrowers had no doubt those divers of warships mentioned by Chettle Falstaff, who reported his uprightness of dealing. He sued a fellow player for the price of a few bags of malt and extracted his pound of flesh in interest for every money lent. How else could Aubrey's ostler and callboy get rich quick? All events brought grist to his mill. Shylock chimes with Jew baiting that followed the hanging and quartering of Queen's Leech Lopez, his Jew's heart being plucked forth while the Sheeny was yet alive. Hamlet and Macbeth, the coming to the throne of the Scotch philosopher, with a turn for which coasting, the lost Armada is his jeer in Love's Labour Lost, his pageants, the histories sail full-bellied on a tide of Mafficking enthusiasm. Warwickshire Jesuits are tied, and we have a Porter's theory of equivocation. The Sea Venture come home from Bermudas, and play Renan admired is written with pasty Caliban, our American cousin. The sugared sonnets follow Sidney's. As for Fay Elizabeth, otherwise Carriety Bess, the gross virgin who inspired the Merry Wives of Windsor, let some merry hare from Almany grope his life long for deep-hid meanings in the depth of the bucket basket.
I think you're getting on very nicely. Just mix up a mixture of theological, philological, Mingo, Minxie, Mictum, Minger.
Prove that he was a Jew, John Eglinton dared, expectantly. Your Dean of Studies holds he was a holy Roman.
Sufflaminus sum.
He was made in Germany, Stefan replied, as the champion French polisher of Italian scandals.
A myriad-minded man, Mr. Best reminded. Coleridge called him myriad-minded. Amplius in societe humana hoc est maximum necessarium ut sit amiticum inter multos.
St. Thomas, Stephen began.
Ora pro nobis, Monk Mulligan groaned, sinking to a chair.
There he keened a wailing rune.
Pogmahon! Actula Macri! It's destroyed. We are from this day. It's destroyed. We are. All smiled. Their smiles.
St. Thomas, Stephen, smiling, said, whose gore-bellied works I enjoy reading in the original, writing of incest from a standpoint different from that of the new Viennese school Mr. McGee spoke of, likens it in his wise and curious way to an avarice of the emotions. He means that the love so given to one near in blood is covetously withheld from some stranger who, it may be, hungers for it. Jews, from Christians taxed with avarice, are of all races the most given to intermarriage. Accusations are made in anger. The Christian laws which built up the hordes of the Jews, for whom, as for the Lollards, storm was shelter, bound their affections to with hoops of steel. Whether these be sins or virtues, old Nobadaddy will tell us at doomsday leet. But a man who holds so tightly to what he calls his rights over what he calls his debts will hold tightly also to what he calls his rights over her whom he calls his wife. No, sir, smile neighbors shall covet his ox or his wife or his manservant or his maidservant or his jackass.
Or his Jenny ass, Buck Mulligan antiphoned.
Gentle Will is being roughly handled. Gentle Mr. Best said gently.
Which will, gagged sweetly Buck Mulligan. We are getting mixed.
The will to live, John Eglinton philosophized. For poor Anne, Will's widow, is the will to die. Requiescat, Stephen prayed. What of all the will to do? It has vanished long ago. She lies laid out in stark stiffness in that second-best bed, the mobbled queen, even though you prove that a bed in those days was as rare as a motor car is now, and that its carvings were the wonder of 7 parishes. In old age she takes up with gospelers. One stayed at New Place and drank a quart of sack the town paid for, but in which bed he slept it skills not to be asked. And heard she had a soul. She read or had read to her chapbooks, preferring them to merry wives, and losing her nightly waters on the Jordan. She thought over hooks and eyes for believers' breeches and the most spiritual snuff-box to make up the most devout soul's sneeze. Venus had twisted her lips in prayer. Agenbite of inwit, remorse of conscience. It is an age of exhausted whoredom, groping for its god.
History shows that to be true. Inquit.
Eglintomnus chronologus. The ages succeed one another. But we have it on high authority that a man's worst enemies shall be those of his own house and family. I feel that Russell is right. What do we care for his wife and father? I would say that only family poets have family lives. Falstaff was not a family man. I feel that the fat king is a supreme creation.
Lean, he lay back. Shy, deny thy kindred, the uncle Gid. Shy, supping with the goddess, he sneaks the cup. A sire in Ultonian Antrim bade it him. Visits him here on quarter days. Mr. McGee, sir, there's a gentleman here to see you. Me? Says he's your father, sir. Give me my Wordsworth. Enter McGee, more Matthew, a rugged, rough, rug-headed kern in strossers with a buttoned codpiece, his nether stalks bemired with a clobber of 10 forests, a wand of wilding in his hand.
Your own. He knows your old fellow, the widower.
Hurrying to her squalid death lair from gay Paris on a quayside, I touched his hand. The voice, new warmth, speaking. Dr. Bob Kenny is attending her. The eyes that wish me well, but do not know me.
A father, Stephen said, battling against hopelessness is a necessary evil. He wrote the play in the months that followed his father's death. If you hold that he, a graying man with 2 marriageable daughters with 35 years of life, nel mezzo del camin di nostra vita, with 50 of experience, is the beardless undergraduate from Wittenberg, then you must hold that a 7-year-old mother is a lustful queen. No. The corpse of John Shakespeare does not walk the night. From hour to hour it rots and rots. He rests, disarmed of fatherhood, having devised a mystical estate upon his son. Boccaccio Calandrino was the first and last man who felt himself with child. Fatherhood, in the sense of conscious begetting, is unknown to man. It is a mystical estate, an apostolic succession, from only begetter to only begotten. On that mystery, and not on the Madonna, which the cunning Italian intellect flung to the mob of Europe, the Church is founded and founded irremovably, because founded, like the world, macro and microcosm, upon the void, upon incertitude, upon unlikelihood, amor matris, subjective and objective genitive, may be the only true thing in life. Paternity may be a legal fiction. Who is the father of any son, that any son should love him, or he any son?
What the hell are you driving at? I know, shut up. Blast you. I have reasons. Amplius adduc aeternum postea. Are you condemned to this? There are saddened by a bodily shame so steadfast that the criminal annals of the world, stained with all other incest and bestialities, hardly record its breach. Sons with mothers, sires with daughters, lesbic sisters, loves that
dare not speak their name. Nephews with grandmothers, jailbirds with keyholes, queens with prize bulls. The son unborn mars beauty, born he brings pain, divides affection, increases care. He is male. His growth is his father's decline, his youth his father's envy, his friends his father's enemy.
En rue, Monsieur le Prince, I thought it.
What links them in nature? An instant of blind rut?
Am I father? If I were?
Shrunken, uncertain hand.
Sibelius, the African, subtlest hierarchy of all the beasts of the field, held that the father was himself his own son. The bulldog of Equin, with whom no word shall be impossible, refutes him. Well, if the father who is not a son be not a father, can the son who is not a father be a son? When Rutland, Bacon, Southam, Shakespeare, or another poet of the same name in the comedy of errors wrote Hamlet, he was not the father of his own son merely, but, being no more a son, he was and felt himself the father of all his race, the father of his own grandfather, the father of his unborn grandson, who by the same token never was born, for nature, as Mr. McGee understands her, abhors perfection.
Eglinton eyes, quick with pleasure, looked up shy brightly, gladly glancing a merry Puritan through the twisted eglantine.
Flatter. Rarely, but flatter.
Himself his own father, son Mulligan told himself. Wait, I am big with child. I have an unborn child in my brain. Pallas Athena, a play. The play's the thing. Let me parturiate.
He clasped at his paunch brow with both birth-aiding hands.
As for his family, Stephen said, his mother's name lives in the forest of Arden. Her death brought from him the scene with Volumnia in Coriolanus. His boy son's death is the death theme of young Arthur in King John.
Hamlet the Black Prince.
Is Hamnet Shakespeare. Who the girls in The Tempest, in The Pericles, in Winter's Tale are, we know. Who Cleopatra, flesh-pot of Egypt, and Cressid and Venus are, we may guess. But there is another member of his family who is recorded.
A plot thickens, John Eglinton said.
The Quaker librarian, quaking, tiptoed in, quake, his mask, quake, with haste, quake, quack.
Door closed. Cell. Day.
They list 3 they.
I, you, he, they.
Come.
Mess.
He had 3 brothers, Gilbert, Edmund, Richard. Gilbert in his old age told some cavaliers he got a pass for nowt, for Maister Gatherer. One time mass he did, and he seen his bird, Maister Wool the playwriter, up in London in a wrestling play with a man on's back. The playhouse sausage filled Gilbert's soul. He is nowhere, but an Edmund and a Richard are recorded in the works of Sweet William.
Names. What's in a name?
Best.
That is my name, Richard, don't you know? I hope you're going to say a good word for Richard. Don't you know? For my sake.
Buck Mulligan. Piano.
Diminuendo.
Then outspoke Medical Dick to his comrade Medical Davy.
Stephen. In his trinity of black wills, the villain Shakebags, Iago, Richard Crookback, Edmund King Lear, 2 bear the wicked uncle's names. Nay, that last play was written or being written while his brother Edmund lay dying in Southwark.
Best.
I hope Edmund is going to catch it. I don't want Richard. My name.
Quaker Lycer.
A tempo.
But he that filches from me my good name.
Stephen.
Stringendo. He has hidden his own name, a fair name, William, in the plays, a super here, a clown there, as a painter of old Italy set his face in a dark corner of his canvas. He has revealed it in the sonnets where there is will in overplus. Like John O'Gaunt, his name's dear to him, as dear as the coat of arms he toadied for. On a ben sable a spear or steeled argent, honorifica billeted in habitus, dearer than his glory of greatest shake scene in the country. What's in a name? That is what we ask ourselves in childhood, when we write the name that we are told is ours. A star, a day star, a fire drake rose at its birth. It shone by day in the heavens alone, brighter than Venus in the night, and by night it shone over Delta in Cassiopeia, the recumbent constellation which is the signature of his initial among the stars. His eyes watched it, low lying on the horizon, eastward of the Bear, as he walked by the slumberous fields at midnight, returning from Chautery and from her arms.
Both satisfied. I, too.
Don't tell them he was 9 years old when it was quenched.
And from her arms?
Wait to be wooed and won. I, Meacock, who will woo you?
Read the skies. Otto Mitteremunos, Bos Stephanimos. Where's your configuration, Stephen? Cut the bread even. SD, sua donna, gia di lui, gelindo, risolve di non amaresti.
What is that, Mr. Daedalus?
The Quaker librarian asked.
Was it a celestial phenomenon?
A star by night,
Stephen said.
a pillar of the cloud by day.
What's more to speak?
Stephen looked at his hat, his stick, his boots.
Stephanos, my crown, my sword. His boots are sporting the shape of my feet. Buy a pair. Holes in my socks. Handkerchief, too.
You make good use of the name, John Eglinton allowed. Your own name is strange enough. I suppose it explains your fantastical humor.
Me, McGee, and Mulligan.
Fabulous artificer, the hawk-like man you flew. Where to? New Haven, Dieppe, steerage, passenger, Paris and back, Lauping, Icarus, Pater, Ait, sea bedabbled, fallen, weltering, lapwing you are, lapwing be.
Mr. Best, eager quietly, lifted his book to say,
That's very interesting, because that brother motive, don't you know, we find also in the old Irish myths. Just what you say, the 3 brothers Shakespeare. In Grimm, too, don't you know, the fairy tales. The third brother that marries the sleeping beauty and wins the best prize.
Best of best brothers, good, better, best.
The Quaker librarian spring-halted near.
I should like to know, he said, which bother you. I understand you to suggest there was misconduct with one of the brothers, but perhaps I am anticipating?
He caught himself in the act, looked at all, refrained.
An attendant from the doorway called, Mr. Leicester, Father Deneen wants...
Oh, Father Deneen, directly.
Swiftly, rectly, creaking rectly, he was rectly gone.
John Eglinton touched the foil.
Come, he said, let us hear what you have to say of Richard and Edmund. You kept them for the last, didn't you?
In asking you to remember those two noble kinsmen, Nuncle Richie and Nuncle Edmund, Stephen answered, I feel I am asking too much, perhaps. A brother is as easily forgotten as an umbrella.
Lapwing.
Where is your brother? Apothecary's Hall, my whetstone. Him, then Cranley, Mulligan, now these. Speech, but act speech. They mock to try you. Act, be acted on.
Lapwing.
I'm tired of my voice, the voice of Esau. My kingdom for a drink.
On.
You will say those names were already in the chronicles from which he took the stuff of his plays. Why did he take them rather than others? Richard, a whore's son, crookback, misbegotten, makes love to a widowed Anne. What's in a name? Woos and wins her. A whore's son, merry widow. Richard the Conqueror, third brother, came from William the Conquered. The other 4 acts of that play hang limply from that first. Of all his kings, Richard is the only king unshielded by Shakespeare's reverence, the angel of the world. Why is the underplot of King Lear, in which Edmund figures, lifted out of Sidney's Arcadia and spatchcocked onto the Celtic legend, other than history, older than history?
That was Will's way, John Eglinton defended. We should not now combine a Norse saga with an excerpt from a novel by George Meredith. Que voulez-vous? Moore would say. He puts Bohemia on a seacoast and makes Ulysses quote Aristotle.
Why? Stephen answered himself. Because the theme of the false, or the usurping, or the adulterous brother of, or all 3 in one, is to Shakespeare what the poor is not, always with him. The note of banishment from the heart, banishment from the home, sounds uninterruptedly from the 2 gentlemen of Verona onward till Prospero breaks his staff, buries it certain fathoms in the earth, and drowns his book. It doubles itself in the middle of his life, reflects itself in another, repeats itself, protasis, epitasis, catastasis, catastrophe. It repeats itself again when he is near the grave, when his married daughter Susan, chip of the old block, is accused of adultery. But it was the original sin that darkened his understanding, weakened his will, and left in him a strong inclination to evil. The words are those of my lords bishops of Maynooth Anne, original sin and, like original sin, committed by another in whose sin he too has sinned. It is between the lines of his last written words. It is petrified on his tombstone, under which her 4 bones are not to be laid. Age has not withered it. Beauty and peace have not done it away. It is in infinite variety everywhere in the world he has created, in Much Ado About Nothing, twice in As You Like It, in The Tempest, in Hamlet, in Measure for Measure, and in all the other plays which I have not read.
He laughed to free his mind from his mind's bondage.
Judge Eglinton summed up.
The truth is midway, he affirmed. He is the ghost and the prince. He is all in all.
He is, Stephen said. The boy of Act 1 is the mature man of Act 5, all in all. In Cymbeline, in Othello, he is bawd and cuckold. He acts and is acted on. Lover of an ideal or a perversion, like José, he kills the real Carmen. His unremitting intellect is the horn-mad Iago, ceaselessly willing that the Moor in him shall suffer.
Cuckoo! Cuckoo! Cuck Mulligan clucked lewdly. A word of fear.
Dark dome received, reverbed.
And what a character is Iago, undaunted John Ingleton exclaimed. when all is said, Dumas fils, or is it Dumas père, is right, after God Shakespeare is created most?
Man delights him not, nor woman neither, Stephen said. He returns after a life of absence to that spot of earth where he was born, where he has always been, man and boy, a silent witness, and there, his journey of life ended, he plants his mulberry tree in the earth, then dies. The motion is ended. Gravediggers bury Hamlet père and Hamlet fille. A king and a prince at last in death, with incidental music. And what, though murdered and betrayed, be wept by all frail tender hearts for, Dane or Dubliner, sorrow for the dead is the only husband for whom they refuse to be divorced. If you like the epilogue, look long on it. Prosperous Prospero, the good man rewarded, Lizzie, grandpa's lump of love, and Nuncle Richie, the bad man taken off by poetic justice to a place where the bad niggers go. Strong curtain. He found in the world without as actual what was in his world within as possible. Maeterlinck says, if Socrates leave his house today, he will find the sage seated on his doorstep. If Judas go forth tonight, it is to Judas his steps will tend. Every life is many days, day after day. We walk through ourselves, meeting robbers, ghosts, giants, old men, young men, wives, widows, brothers in love. But always meeting ourselves. The playwright who wrote the folio of this world, and wrote it badly, he gave us light first, and then the sun 2 days later. The Lord of things as they are, whom the most Roman of Catholics call Dio Boea, hangman God, is doubtless all of us, ostler and butcher, and would-be bawd and cuckold too. But that in the economy of heaven, foretold by Hamlet, there are no more marriages, glorified man, an androgynous angel, being a wife unto himself.
Eureka! Buck Mulligan cried. Eureka! Suddenly happy, he jumped up and reached in a stride John Ingleton's desk.
May I, he said. The Lord has spoken to Malachi.
He began to scribble on a slip of paper.
Take some slips from the counter going out.
Those who are married, Mr. Best. Thus Harold said, all save one shall live. The rest shall keep as they are.
He laughed. Unmarried, at Eglinton Johannes, of arts a bachelor.
Unwed, unfancied, ware of wiles, they finger ponder nightly each his variorum edition of The Taming of the Shrew.
You are a delusion, said roundly John Eglinton to Stephen. You have brought us all this way to show us a French triangle. Do you believe your own theory?
No, Stephen said promptly.
Are you going to write it? Mr. Best asked. You ought to make it a dialogue, don't you know, like the Platonic dialogues Wilde wrote.
John Eglinton doubly smiled.
Well, in that case, he said, I don't see why you should expect payment for it since you don't believe it yourself. Dowden believes there is some mystery in Hamlet, but we'll say no more. Herr Bleibtreu, the man Piper met in Berlin, who is working up that Rutland theory, believes that the secret is hidden in the Stratford Monument. He's going to visit the present Duke, Piper says, and prove to him that his ancestor wrote the plays. It will come as a surprise to his grace, but he believes his theory.
I believe, O Lord. Help my unbelief. That is, help me to believe, or help me to unbelieve. Who helps to believe? Higgleman. Who to unbelieve? Other chap?
You are the only contributor to Dana who asked for pieces of silver. Then I don't know about the next number. Fred Ryan wants space for an article on economics.
Fredrine, 2 pieces of silver he lent me. Tide you over. Economics.
For a guinea, Stephen said. You can publish this interview.
Buck Mulligan stood up from his scribbling, laughing, and then gravely said, honeying malice.
I called upon the bard Kinch at his summer residence in Upper Mecklenburg Street, and found him deep in the study of the Summa Contra Gentiles, in the company of 2 gonorrheal ladies, French Nellie and Rosalie, the Culquay whore.
He broke away.
Come, Kinch, come, wandering Angus of the birds.
Come, Kinch, you've eaten all we left. I will serve you your orts and offals.
Stephen rose.
Life is many days. This will end.
We shall see you tonight, John Anglican said. Notre ami Moore says Malachi Mulligan must be there.
Buck Mulligan flaunted his slip in Panama.
Monsieur Moore, he said, lecturer on French letters to the youth of Ireland. I'll be there. Come, Kinch, the bards must drink. Can you walk straight?
Laughing he.
Swill till 11. Irish Night's entertainment.
Lubber.
Stephen followed a lubber.
One day in the National Library, we had a discussion. Shakes. After his lub back, I followed. I gall his cod.
Stephen, greeting. Then all amort followed a lubber jester, a well-kempt head, new barbered, out of the vaulted cell into a shattering daylight of no thoughts.
What have I learned? Of them? Of me?
Walk like Haynes now.
The constant reader's room, in the reader's book. Casha, Boyle, O'Connor, Fitzmaurice, Tisdale, Farrell, paraphs his polysyllables. Item, was Hamlet mad? The Quakers paid godlily with a pristine in-book talk.
Oh, please do, sir. I shall be most pleased.
Amused Buck Mulligan mused in pleasant murmur with himself, self-nodding.
A pleased bottom.
The turnstile.
Is that blue-ribboned hat idly writing? What? Looked?
The curving balustrade, smooth sliding Mincius.
Puck Mulligan, Panamalahameted, went step by step, iambing, trolling.
John Engleton, my Joe John, why won't you wed a wife?
He sputtered to the air.
Oh, the chinless Chinaman, Chin Chong Eglin Tun. He went over to their playbox, Haynes and I. The Plumber's Hall. Our players are creating a new art for Europe, like the Greeks or M. Maeterlinck. Abbey Theatre. I smell the public sweat of monks.
He spat blank.
Forgot. Any more than he forgot the whipping lousy Lucy gave him, and left the femme de 30 ans. And why no other children born, and his first child a girl?
After wit, go back.
The dour recluse still there, he has his cake, and the douse a youngling, minion of pleasure, Phaedo's toilable fair hair.
Hey, I just I forgot. He
Longworthy and McCurdy Atkinson was there. Puck Mulligan, footed, feedling, trilling. I
hardly hear the purely cry. Or Tommy talk as I pass one by, before my thoughts begin to run on F. McCurdy Atkinson, the same that had the wooden leg, and that filibustering filibeg, that never dared to sack his druth, McGee that had the chinless mouth, being afraid to marry on earth, they masturbated for all they were worth.
Just on, know thyself.
Halted below me, a quizzer looks at me, I halt.
Mournful murmur, Buck Mulligan moaned. Singe is left off wearing black to be like nature. Only crows, priests, and English coal are black.
A laugh tripped over his lips.
Longworth is awfully sick, he said. After what you wrote about the old Hake Gregory. Oh, you inquisitional Inquisitional drunken Jew Jesuit. She gets you a job on the paper and then you go and slate her drivel to Jesus. Couldn't you do the Yeats touch? He went on and down, moping, chanting, with waving graceful arms.
The most beautiful book that has come out of our country in my time, one thinks Homer.
He stopped at the stairfoot.
I have conceived a play for the murmurs, he said solemnly.
The pillared Moorish hall, shadows entwine. Gone the 9 men's Morse with caps of indices.
In sweetly varying voices, Buck Mulligan read his tablet.
Every man his own wife, or a honeymoon in the hand.
He turned a happy patch
smirk to Stephen, saying,
the disguise.
I fear
is dim, but listen. He read Marcato. Characters.
Toby Tostoff, Maroon Pole, Crab, a bushranger,
Medical
Medical Dick, and Medical Davy, 2 birds with 1
Medical
stone.
Dick and Medical Davy.
Mother Grogan,
2 birds with 1 stone.
a water carrier. Fresh
Mother
Nellie
Grogan,
and Rosalie,
Water carrier.
the Colquay whore.
Fresh Nellie and Rosalie,
He laughed,
the Colquay whore.
lolling a to and fro head, walking on, followed by Stephen, and mirthfully he told the shadows, souls of men.
Oh, the night in the Camden Hall when the daughters of Erin had to lift their skirts to step over you as you lay in your mulberry-colored, multicolored, multitudinous vomit.
The most innocent son of Erin, Stephen said, for whom they ever lifted them.
About to pass through the doorway, feeling one behind, he stood aside.
Part. The moment is now. Where then? If Socrates leave his home today, if Judas go forth tonight, why?
Why?
That lies in space which I in time must come to ineluctably. My will, his will that fronts me, sees between.
A man passed out between them, bowing, greeting.
Good day again,
Good day.
Buck Mulligan said.
The portico.
Here I watch the birds for angry. Angus of the birds. They go, they come. Last night I flew, easily flew. Men wondered, street of harlots after. A cream fruit melon he held to me. In, you will see. The wandering Jew.
The wandering Jew.
Buck Mulligan whispered.
Buck Mulligan whispered.
With clown's awe.
With clown's awe. Did you see his eye?
He looked upon to lust.
He looked upon to lust.
After you.
After you.
I fear the ancient mariner.
I fear the ancient
thou
mariner.
art in peril.
O Kinch, thou art in peril.
Get thee a breeched pad. Manor of Oxenford.
Manor of Oxenford.
Day wheelbarrow, sun over arch of bridge.
Sun over arch of bridge.
A dark back went before them.
Step of a pard, down.
Step of a pard, down, out by the
Step of
gateway.
a pard, down,
Under the
out
portcullis
by the
bar.
gateway.
They follow.
Under
They follow.
portcullis
They
bars.
follow.
Offend me still,
They
speak
follow.
on.
Speak on.
Kind
Offend me
air.
still, speak on.
Define the coins of houses in Kildare Street. No birds.
No birds.
Frail from the housetops, 2 plumes of smoke ascended,
Pluming.
and in a flaw of softness softly were blown.
They followed.
Cease to strive.
Cease to strive.
Peace of the Druid priests.
Peace of the Druid priests.
Of Cymbeline.
Of Cymbeline.
From wide earth and altar.
Loud,
we
gods, and let our crooked smokes climb to their nostrils from our blessed altars. End of section 9 of Ulysses by James Joyce.
Yay!
Jeez.
That was pretty neat to forging